Red Sox trade reports are escalating after a pair of insiders released new information tying the Red Sox to a sturdy first baseman from the Tampa Bay Rays in Yandi Diaz. I'm here to break down whether or not this would be a good decision and why the Red Sox are even going in this direction in the first place. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Red Sox Digest, but first remember, if you're a part of the near 90% watching this video, not currently subscribed to the channel, scroll down and click the subscribe button. We do appreciate the love and support, so thank you guys, but now let's get to it and break down the major Red Sox first baseman updates, as this has been a topic of conversation through this MLB trade deadline and really just before that, as things were really ramping up going into the All-Star break for the Red Sox. But because of how dominated this conversation has really been by the starting pitching conversation, it has really been overlooked to some extent. They were in connections to Ryan O'Hearn of the Baltimore Orioles, Josh Naylor of the Arizona Diamondbacks that was just traded in the last few days to the Seattle Mariners, and now the conversation is starting to ramp up even more because of how the Tampa Bay Rays have been playing as of late. If you guys don't know, this is currently what the AL East is currently looking at in the sense of standings. The Rays are 2.5 games out of the Boston Red Sox currently, and if you look at the overall playoff picture, they are 8th in that scene, just behind the Texas Rangers. The reason this is so important is because coming out of the All-Star break, they have not been great. They've lost 3 in a row. They went 3-7 over their last 10, and with that, it's starting to mold out and look like they are not going to be real competitors in the AL, let alone the AL East, one of the toughest divisions in all of baseball. Now, the Red Sox continue to be scrappy. They're winning. They are not playing perfectly by any means. They are currently in a dogfight with the Los Angeles Dodgers, where they find themselves up 4-3. It looks like they might be able to take that series from the Dodgers, which will be massive, not only for playoff implications, but just morale victories. But to this conversation, and the conversation about first base and what they're going to do going forward, and whether or not they're actually going to make a substantial trade for someone like Yandi Diaz. Boston Strong went on to cite Ken Rosenthal from roughly a week and a half ago, if you will. Ken Rosenthal says that he expects the Red Sox to be active in the trade market, mentions like everybody else has been, that they're going to be looking at at a number 2 or number 3 starter and an upgrade at first base with potentially Naylor or O'Hearn. So the two names we referenced earlier, but obviously O'Hearn is the only one still left available, as Naylor just landed with the Seattle Mariners. But then we got new information, not only from Buster Only, which we're going to cite from Matthew Crowley on Twitter, but as well as Ken Rosenthal again from Boston Sports Gordo on Twitter. So we'll start with this one. Ken Rosenthal says the Rays are softening their stance and are more open to dealing first baseman Yandi Diaz. Quote, if they indeed become willing to move him, the Boston Red Sox will almost certainly be at the top of the list of teams interested. End of the quote from Ken Rosenthal, and this is big. The Red Sox look to be very much in the conversation with a lot of the guys that we've discussed, whether it's Joe Ryan, Sandy Alcantara, Mitch Keller, the list goes on and on. But now that we're getting to the position players in the sense of a first baseman, where we all know the Red Sox organization wants to improve. They want to have an everyday guy and don't want to rely on a platoon option at first base as well as even second. Having 2 platoon options at first and second going into every game, yes, it can be beneficial, but you also want someone that you can have enough confidence and faith in to play every single day and be an everyday guy for your team. And it seems like that's exactly what Yandi Diaz would end up being for this Red Sox team, as we all know he can hit, and we know he can hit specifically against the Red Sox in Fenway Park, as he's hitting .317 for his career in Boston, in Fenway. He's been a problem. He's been playing for the Rays for a handful of years now after, I should say, leaving the Cleveland Guardians. He's been really good. He's been a model of consistency. He doesn't hit for an overwhelming amount of pop, but he hits for a damn good average. If you look here, he's led the league in average just, 3 years ago, where he hit .330. He has an ability to really put bat to ball, and it hasn't worn off at all. This year, he's playing very, very well. Once again, only one real blemish on the entirety of this Baseball Savant page, and no, he doesn't have outlandish range at first base, and he doesn't have the craziest arm, and I understand that. But it's totally fine. You just play first, have a decent glove, which he does have, and have the ability to hit the baseball. If you look at his spray chart in the top right-hand corner, he loves hitting it to the opposite field, hitting it to the right field wall as a right-handed batter, something that could be very beneficial in Fenway Park. I know we have a lot of conversations about being able to pepper the monster and go off the green wall and be able to turn singles into doubles despite not hitting it that far. If you can pepper right field, one of the hardest right fields in all of baseball, if not clearly the hardest right field in all of baseball, Yandi could end up having career years in Boston. So quickly, let's break down the quote from Buster Only, and then we'll get to the contract situation of Yandi and whether or not it would be a good decision financially for the Red Sox to make this move. So again, citing Matthew Cora, who went on to cite Buster Only, goes on to say, quote, Yandi Diaz would be an absolutely perfect fit for the Red Sox. As he goes on to say, Buster Only says the Rays' struggles lately could shift them to becoming sellers. I'm sorry, the font's very small on my screen. Quote, he's making $10 million this year. The Red Sox would be on the hook for about a third of that, and he has a very attractive $12 million option for 2026. And now to the contract situation from Sports Track. Another option, just like Buster pointed out in that quote from Matthew Crowley on Twitter, again, they'd only be paying about a third of this year's contract, and then for next year, it'd be an option where they could pay him $12 million for all of next season, unless they decide to move him before the MLB trade deadline next year. Very, very appeasing. It seems very team friendly, as well as also Yandi's making $12 million a year to play baseball. But financially, it'd be a great move for the Red Sox. They would be able to get someone like Yandi Diaz, who's going to hit the baseball as well as he is and as consistent as he is. And he would fit in great on a very potent Red Sox offense. He'd play very well in a park. We've seen the success through his career. It would be a really, really good fit for the Red Sox, in my opinion. Arguably one of my favorite trades that we've discussed on this channel throughout the entirety of this year, and there has been a lot of them. I still think there's a few moves the Red Sox should absolutely make. I think Ryan O'Hearn is not a bad option. Another AL East rival in the Orioles, holding a really, really very good, formidable piece in Ryan O'Hearn. You could put him at DH. You could put him at first. Yandi, more of a first baseman, an everyday guy. I could see how they could go in that direction rather, especially on what it's going to cost to go out there and get him. Obviously, Ryan just made his first All-Star team thanks to Rafael Devers being sent to San Francisco. We won't talk about that right now, though. But again, Yandi's been very good, and he would fit in very well in Boston with the offense as currently constructed. I think he would be a great fit. He would go into a lineup where he could be overwhelmingly productive by just being himself, and he wouldn't have to be dominant by any means. But if he just came in there and continued to do what we've seen him do up to this point in the season specifically, if not the entirety of his career over the last 5 to 6 seasons, it would be a match made in heaven. I genuinely think that. I would love to know what you guys think down below. Leave me a comment. What are your overall thoughts and opinions on this possible trade for the Red Sox with an in-division rival in the struggling Tampa Bay Rays? Do you think it would be a benefit? Do you think it would be a bad decision to make? Honestly, I don't know how you make that argument, but if you do believe that, let me know down below. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Red Sox Digest. Thank you guys for watching.